Today I'm going to be sharing with you some of the best under eye concealers for those of you who have fine lines and dark circles or dry textured under eyes. This is great for anyone of any age, but especially for those of you like me who are over 40, maybe even over 35. And if you have watery eyes, I'm also going to be specifying which of these concealers are waterproof and also which ones are cruelty-free. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I am very, very picky about my under eye area. I am 44 years old. I am very dry in that area despite having an oily T-zone, and I have dark circles I need to cover as well as some fine lines and texture. It's a tall order. I do have 10 concealers here and 2 correctors that have really worked for me for all of my difficult issues. So hopefully by the end of this video, you will find one that may work for you too. I have several videos that cover various aspects of concealing and taking care of the under eye area. I will link those for you. And I hope that if you're new here, if this is your first time visiting, or if you just haven't hit that subscribe button yet, that by the end of this video, you do consider hitting that subscribe button and becoming part of the family. I realized that the last time I talked to you guys about my favorite concealers and what I've been rotating the most often, it's been well over a year. And this is such an important area for me and for many of you. I needed to update you guys with my current favorites, some of the ones I've been reaching for most often I've never talked about on my channel, and you guys need to hear about them. I'm going to start with the 2 correctors, and then I'm going to go in kind of a random order until I get to the end where I'll show you the ones that have been living on my vanity that I've been rotating the most often. Now, everyone is different. What works for me may not work for you, but I am going to go ahead and tell you that I always use eye cream before I go in with any of these products, no matter what the claims are, and I always set my under eye area, because even if a concealer says that it is creaseless, if your anatomy just lends itself to a product creasing, it's still gonna crease. And some of us just have to set things. I am one of those people. Since we correct our under eye area before we conceal, I'm gonna start out with correctors, and the first one is the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Vanish Corrector. I am in the shade medium, and there are 4 shades. It is $32 for 0.08 ounces of product. It is cruelty-free. That breaks down to $100 for 1/4 of an ounce, which seems like a lot, but this little compact is going to last you forever because you really use the tiniest amount. That was something that really surprised me. I've used a lot of correctors in the past. Some of you may recall from past videos that were in pots, and you did typically need to apply them kind of like an eye cream and go in with, a decent amount. You're just using so much less of this than you used of those to get the same amount of coverage. It's pretty amazing. This corrects really, really well and neutralizes the discoloration completely. So there was a small survey on the website. I think it was 120 women. 100% said that it did neutralize their dark circles, and 99% said that it made their under eye area look smoother. And I would agree with that. It just kind of has this invisible neutralizing coverage. Really great product, very travel friendly as well. So this is one of the 2 correctors that I reach for on a regular basis. So the Charlotte Tilbury is my more recent corrector discovery. This next one I've been using for over 2 years. It replaced every other corrector I had ever been using before it. It is not inexpensive, but it also does a lot more than any other corrector on the market as far as I know. If you know otherwise, let me know. But I love this stuff, and why don't I tell you what it is, and then I'll get into the details. So this is the Colorescience Total Eye 3-in-1 Renewal Therapy. This is $69 for 0.23 ounces. There is 1 shade that is supposed to be a universal shade for everyone. That breaks out to $75 for 1/4 of an ounce. I read on the website that they do not do any animal testing, but they're not listed on the cruelty-free websites. So that's all I could really find about the cruelty-free status. So the reason why I love this so much is because it corrects with this just kind of perfect peach tone. It hydrates and treats the under eye area for signs of aging, and it also protects the under eye area from photo aging with UVB, SPF 35, and UVA PA+++. I had to look down and make sure that I was getting that right. So it corrects just like the other correctors I was using before did, except they were a little heavier and creamier and thicker. This is very lightweight, very lotiony, kind of like a lightweight eye cream. And so the texture is better, and I get targeted SPF protection underneath my eye that's made for the under eye area. So it's protecting me from getting more crow's feet and more fine lines around my eye area. And what woman does not want that? So this to me is the perfect corrector. So I will gladly pay more for this product because it does more, it works better, the texture's better, and it's protecting me from aging any faster than I already am. Also, I forgot to mention that the sunscreen is a physical sunscreen. That's another positive. I feel like that is just so hard to find. So I'm going to start with the concealers that I love, but they haven't been living on my vanity lately. It's not to say they won't be rotated back in at some point. I definitely wanted to include them in this video because they're great options. Somehow they do always get rotated back in for me. But the ones that are living on my vanity that I'm rotating are the ones I'm saving for the end. This is actually the first concealer that replaced Tarte Shape Tape for me, because Tarte Shape Tape, it covers well, but it's just a little bit more work to get it not to look too drying. You know what I mean? So this is the Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place Flawless Wear Concealer. It is $29 for 0.24 ounces. That works out to $30.20 for a quarter of an ounce. I'm in the shade 2C and there are 21 shades. This is waterproof. That is a huge bonus because if you have watery eyes, you definitely want to be reaching for a waterproof concealer. It's also oil-free. It does have hyaluronic acid and emollients in it. It's very hydrating, yet it does last for a nice full work day. Solid medium to full coverage depending on how much I built it up. It's very creamy, very easy to blend out, yet it feels very lightweight on the skin. There's a lot of pluses to this concealer. It's just a great staple concealer that I like to keep on hand. Let's talk about a drugstore option, and this is one where I do have to mix two different shades. This is the L'Oreal Infallible Full Wear Waterproof Concealer. It retails for $13.49 for 0.33 ounces, which breaks down to $10.22 for a quarter of an ounce. There are 25 shades. The two shades that I have are 345 Oatmeal and 350 Bisque. This is a multitasking concealer, very similar to another concealer I'm going to be mentioning further in the video. In my very first dupes video, I compared this to that concealer because I do find them very comparable. Now, some people find this similar to Shape Tape, but I don't find it as drying. And maybe that's because I always hydrate my under eye area very well with a hydrating under eye cream before I go in with any under eye product. I don't know. And you can see in my dupes video, which I'll link below, that the concealer I'm comparing it to, they look really similar underneath my eye before setting and after setting. It is really full coverage. This is another waterproof concealer. It has a nice soft matte finish. It does have a large doe foot applicator and it wears a really long time. This would be a great concealer if you're looking for something to multitask, to conceal on the eyes and the face, as well as to maybe get a darker shade and contour with. This isn't what I would consider an everyday or any occasion concealer because it is more full coverage. For me, this is more of a special occasion type concealer. I just realized there was a dog toy behind me, and some of you may not have realized that that was back there because Luke was partially covered up. So he's just back there with one of his toys. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Away concealer. And some of you probably remember me raving about this when it first came out. This is $32 for 0.13 ounce. That breaks down to $61.54 per quarter ounce. This is cruelty free. I am in shade 4 and there are 20 shades. So this normally has this sponge tip applicator. When you open and close the product, it is so flush with the sides of the lid that it brushes against them every time and it just creates a big mess. So I had a few people tell me that you could actually rip that sponge off. So I did. When I squeeze product out now, it seems like the top part is a little bit dry. So I just have to get it what's right underneath before it applies the way it should. I just kind of wish I hadn't cut the sponge off. I think the sponge was keeping some of the hydration in the product itself, so don't cut your sponge off. Just a little public service announcement there. But normally this product is very, very smooth. It blends out super easily. It's full coverage and it's very natural. It kind of stretches with your under eye area. You know, I tried the Glossier Stretch Concealer, the one that's supposed to just really be flexible and move with your under eye area and just look really flattering. And it just wasn't quite enough coverage for me. This is the higher coverage, more sophisticated version of that to me. Of course, it's in a different form as well. It's got some interesting ingredients in it. It's supposed to create a more lifted look to your eyelids if you use it on your eyelid area. And it's supposed to decrease the appearance of crow's feet, fine lines, wrinkles, puffiness, circles, obviously because it's a concealer, and it's supposed to brighten. It's supposed to do all kinds of great things, not just because it conceals, but because it also has some good ingredients too. And I do just find that it just looks really pretty under the eyes. So it's a great concealer for those of you who do have fine lines, dark circles, dryness. It's just got all of the good things that you want from a concealer. Moving to the second drugstore concealer, I was actually really surprised at how much I liked this concealer. I also have 2 shades of this, and that's kind of the drawback for me with drugstore concealers, is that it's hard to find a match because you can't test them out first. There's often a limited shade selection, and I just find that I'll spend a lot of money trying different drugstore concealers because I can't feel them on the back of my hand first. So this one, the Revlon Photoready Candid Antioxidant Concealer, is $9.99 for 0.34 ounces. And that breaks down to $7.35 for a quarter of an ounce. I have shades 23 and 25, and there are 18 shades available. This is skincare inspired. There are great ingredients in this, especially for a drugstore product. It says it has antioxidants, anti-pollution, and anti-blue light ingredients. I kind of forgot about that, and I feel now that this is a product that I should be wearing almost on the daily because I sit in front of a computer all the time. So I think I am going to actually put this on my vanity. This is very blendable. It's pretty thin and creamy. I feel like they may have said that this has full coverage or medium to full coverage, and I feel like this has more medium and slightly under medium full coverage. This is one I would definitely wear a corrector with, but it looks really natural on the skin. I like that it has medium buildable, natural looking coverage. I just find that for a daily concealer, that's what I enjoy. And I was actually kind of surprised to see that you get as much product in here as you do in here. So if I'm traveling, I would probably reach for this because it's smaller, and this is significantly less expensive than the L'Oreal as well. This next concealer is a different form than other concealers, and I've been using this for a long time. This does live on my vanity. I've talked about it many, many times, and this was a product that I was actually shocked that I liked. This is the BareMinerals Bare Pro 16-Hour Full Coverage Concealer. Some of these concealers, they're a mouthful. This is $24 for 0.09 ounces. That breaks down to $66.67 for a quarter of an ounce. Now remember, because it is a stick concealer, it's more concentrated than a liquid and it will go further. So it's going to seem like you don't get any product with the 0.09 ounces, but you really get plenty. BareMinerals is cruelty-free, but they are also owned by Shiseido, so just keep that in mind. It is waterproof. It is humidity resistant. I would say this is medium to medium full coverage, depending on how you build it. This wears a really long time. It's great for the face or the eyes. That's why I have 2 different shades. Oh, I forgot to talk about the shades. I have shades 3 and 5, and there are 15 shades. And the reason why I have 2 shades is because I use shade 3 under my eyes and shade 5 on my face. This is usually the concealer I wear when I'm wearing powder foundation. It just looks so natural. Other concealers that I use do too, but I just really like the way this blends out when it's directly on my skin. I don't know what it is. It's very creamy. The warmth from my finger just blends it out so beautifully. It's very hydrating, and it has great skin improving anti-aging ingredients in it. If you're traveling by air, you're going to want to bring a concealer that's in a pot or a stick. and this is a great option. So there's really not much bad to say about this, which was a huge shock to me because prior to this, I could not stand any stick concealers. The BareMinerals product starts the living on my vanity section. These are the products that I rotate the most. Now, this product lives on my vanity as well, but it's probably used the least out of all of these. And I don't know why. Well, I guess I kind of do. So this is the Marc Jacobs Accomplice Concealer and Touch-Up Stick. It's $32 for 0.17 ounces of product, and that breaks down to $47.06 per quarter ounce. Now, Marc Jacobs Beauty is cruelty-free, but they are owned by LVMH, who also owns Sephora, Bite Beauty, Fenty, and some other brands. I'm in the shade Light 23, and there are 17 shades. In my second dupes video, I talked about how this compared to the BareMinerals stick concealer that I just showed you. They pretty much perform almost identical on my skin. It's creamy, it's smooth, it doesn't claim to be waterproof, and it has less extracts and all that stuff. But as far as performance and how it looks and how it applies, I have noticed zero difference. The Marc Jacobs is $32, the BareMinerals is $24, but when you break it down per ounce or per quarter ounce, the BareMinerals is actually more expensive at $66.67 versus the Marc Jacobs at $47.06. Oh, we have a lot of clouds outside. My lighting is all over the place today. So it just depends on if you want to save the money up front or do you want to save it overall. The performance, like I said, is basically the same. And you know, the Marc Jacobs has the really cool packaging. I don't really know why I keep reaching for the BareMinerals more. I think it's just because I've been using the BareMinerals for a longer period of time and I'm just used to it, but they're both really great concealers. Okay, so now it comes down to the top four that I rotate the most, and none of these are interchangeable. I use them for completely different reasons. I like them all, so I can't sit here and say one of these falls to the number one spot. So I'll start with the one that is kind of obvious because I've shown it in videos before. This is the Too Faced Born This Way Super Coverage Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer. How is that for a long name? This is $29 for 0.5 ounces of product. That breaks down to $14.50 for a quarter of an ounce. Too Faced wins for being the least expensive per quarter ounce of all of the non-drugstore concealers. Too Faced also wins for shade selection and the longest name, by the way. There are 35 shades. I'm in the shade Light Beige, and I do feel like to brighten, I need a lighter shade. The shade that I use works really well for my face and under my eyes if I just want to keep everything kind of cohesive but not brighten. If I want to brighten, I go in to my darkest point with another concealer that I'm going to talk about in a second. This is full coverage. It is long wearing. It is very creamy. It's got a large doe foot applicator. This bottle is huge. You never get 0.5 ounces of product from a concealer. They're usually quarter of an ounce, right? So this is a multi-use concealer. They claim that. You can use this to contour, to highlight, depending on the shade that you get. You can use it on the face. You can use it under the eyes. So I talked about a drugstore concealer that was very similar earlier, the L'Oreal. Very similar, although I do like this one better. I just find this one is a little more trustworthy for me. I don't know. There's something about it that I just love. And also the shade. I mean, you cannot beat the shade selection. This is thick, but it blends out super easily. It's hydrating, full coverage, yet lightweight. It's buildable. So if you want high, medium, full coverage or full coverage, you can get that. It has hyaluronic acid, coconut water, alpine rose in it to really, really up the hydration. I just find that when you're dealing with dryness and texture, fine lines under the eyes, when you need true full coverage, you either end up looking dry or things just start looking emphasized. And this doesn't do any of that. It's just really, really nice. Now, I know some of you don't really like this brand. The concealer is phenomenal. If you want to skip past it to the other two, feel free. This is the Jeffree Star Magic Star Concealer. It is $22 for 0.12 ounces of product. That breaks down to $45.83 for a quarter of an ounce. It is cruelty-free. There are 33 shades, which include correcting shades. I am in the shade C11. When I first ordered this, I ordered C13. It was really light, although I made it work. C11 works, but it's still very, very brightening and the lightest concealer that I have. I mean, you'll see a range amongst all of these swatched shades, but they all blend in and they work somehow. Especially seeing this next to the Too Faced, which is the darkest of the ones that I have. This is probably going to look really light, but it does blend in and it works. Now, the Too Faced that I showed a while ago that's 0.5 ounces is probably not great for travel because it is so big. This is probably not that great for travel either. This is medium full to full coverage, and yet it's really, really smoothing. This is one of the most smoothing concealers I've ever used. It's very thin when you apply it. It blends out very, very easily. It sets pretty quickly, but it doesn't ever look dry. It's a hydrating satin matte concealer. For me, the biggest drawback with this is getting the right shade because the concealers are lighter than their descriptions lead you to think they are. But this is a beautiful concealer, incredibly smoothing, incredibly hydrating, nice coverage, brightening. It's kind of just all of the things. This is the concealer that I will put in my hollows underneath my eyes if I feel like I need a little bit of extra brightening, but I also will use it by itself. My newest concealer that I am loving is the Dior Forever Skin Correct concealer. It's $36 for 0.37 ounces, and that breaks down to $24.33 for a quarter of an ounce. There are 28 shades, and I am in the shade 2N. I will say right off the bat that there's something with their shades. They're very yellow, very warm. I feel like I need a C shade, a cool shade. I can make it work. It's just really yellow. I don't know. I was surprised at that. This does claim to have 24-hour wear. I haven't tested the 24-hour wear, but it does claim to have it. This is probably one of the most skin-like concealers I have ever used. It gives the most natural looking coverage that is also buildable. Now they say it's full coverage. I disagree. This is more light medium to just under medium full for me, depending on how much I build it. It's very thin in consistency. You can use it on your face and under your eyes. It just kind of blurs everything and conceals at the same time. It's just beautiful. Truly, truly beautiful, a great addition to my concealer family. If you're wanting a concealer that you could wear with no makeup as well as everyday makeup, this is a great one. Now, this isn't something I'm going to wear to a formal event. It's not quite enough for that for me, but for every day, this is stunning. The Armani Power Fabric, it's so good. It's not anything like the Too Faced Sculpting Concealer because it is a little bit more flexible, a little bit less full coverage, not really a special occasion concealer. It's more everyday, kind of like the Dior, but not like the Dior. So the Armani Power Fabric is $34 for 0.2 ounces. That breaks down to $42.50 for a quarter of an ounce. I'm in the shade 3.5 and there are 20 shades. This gives a soft matte yet not dry looking finish. I like to apply it, well, as with most concealers, which I neglected to say, with a finger or a sponge to get the most natural look. And you don't need a lot. I don't use a lot of concealer when I'm applying concealer. It's very smoothing and lightweight as well. I would say as far as coverage goes, it gives medium to, I would say high, medium, full coverage. Yet it looks very, very natural and feels lightweight on the skin because the consistency is so thin. This gives more coverage with less product, with a little bit less work than the Dior. I almost feel like the Dior turns into your skin somehow. This doesn't quite do that, but it does give a little bit more brightening, but still looks super natural. This is just a great everyday concealer. I would say if I had to, this is probably the one that I reach for the most. Now, if I had to pick a top three, I would say it would be the Too Faced Sculpting, the Dior Forever, and the Armani Power Fabric. I just think all three are fabulous. They cover basically every occasion from no makeup to everyday to full coverage glam. They always look good. Although every single concealer in this video I love and I rotate at some point. If you have dry under eyes and you have not seen my video that addresses all things under eyes, it gives fabulous tips that has helped so many people. I'm going to link that here for you. And I would love to know if there are concealers out there that I need to try that I haven't. Leave those for me in the comments down below, or any that you just really love that you think maybe I missed. I mean, there's plenty of concealers that I've tried, some that I really like. They're just not in this particular gathering of products. If you're not subscribed to my channel, hit that subscribe button, become part of the family. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.